Narayanaaya. Om Namo Narayanaaya. Dear devotees of Chicago Kalibari, on a continuing lecture on Panchankam or Vedic calendar, Sriram Ramanujam from Virginia will do a lecture today on the subject of Tithi and that one. Thank you.
Yes, Narayana, Sri Ram Ramanujam here again. Today, I wanted to kind of give you a brief introduction on why in the Hindu system, mostly, right? Some people have deviated, but in general, if you look at it, the birth, if a person is born, we want to take the nakshatram of the birth, right? We'll say, hey, what is your nakshatram? When we want to do any homam, or when we want to come and do an archana at the temple, people will generally say, what is your gotram? What is your nakshatram? On the day that you are born, what is a nakshatram? So nakshatram is used for birth and all shubha karyams. If you want to do all the good things that you want to do to devatas, you generally want to use nakshatram. On the other hand, when you want to do pitru karyams, when you have things that you want to propitiate your departed souls, your ancestors, you most likely use tithi. Tithi is predominantly used for only the of course, in general, everything is important. I'm not saying that one is not important versus other, but predominantly when we want to try to do pitrut karyams, we will always use tithi. And I want to kind of briefly explain why the difference between using nakshatram and using tithi for this purpose. Um, Nakshatram, of course, I think we've covered it, but I want to cover this again today in terms of how nakshatrams are important. Um, every person that's born on this earth, right, that we take a janma based on our previous karmas, the classes of people that really put in a bond, actually they float a bond, as soon as as soon as we want to be born, actually devas, pitrus and rishis, all these three need to come together and say, okay, if this is the person that needs to, thus atma needs to take a janma, okay, based on these previous karmas, okay, I'm willing to take a chance, give him a chance to be born on this earth. A deva needs to agree. A deva needs to say, okay, I will take care of this guy. Then comes the pitrus. The pitrus are the ones actually that formulate, that they basically make sure that, hey, with this lineage of person, right, like Sri Ram, and Sri Ram needs to have a santati, a children, right? Who's the right person? Which is the atma that's supposed to get the santati? Or should I get, or should I not get? Should I get a boy? Should I get a girl? Everything is determined on my karma. So the Pitrus are the ones that plan. They plan who needs to be born, which Atma needs to be matched against me. The Rishis then again come into play in terms of trying to make sure that we are in the certain pravaram. There's a lineage for which it is born, and then they are the ones that need to extend everything that's in terms of learning, jnanam, and everything else, right? So all these people come together. So triumvirate, this triumvirate of Deva, Pitru, Rishis are always there with us, and we always need to make sure that we pay our dues for these people, because they have floated a bond before even you were born, right? Without even your realization, they have floated a bond on your name, on your Atma. So that's why any karyam that we do is Deva, Pitru, Rishi. We have to do karmas, all our karmas, right from the time that you were born, Pumsavanam to Chola karma to Upanayanam, everything is done with these three people in mind. Okay, we need to pay back tax. Tax is what we need to pay back. People pay back tax to the IRS, right, in this country. But then when we want to try to pay tax back to the Deva Pitru Rishis, we think twice. But even a small things that you do go a long way with these three people. Just make sure you remember that. So Devatas are the ones that formulate this world, right? They have jurisdiction over things like, so many things, the creation, the fire, for example. Agni is a devata of the smallest form, in the sense that he is the one that can reach. When you do Mangalarati to Perumal, he is the one that's showing Perumal to us in the light. And the same Mangalarati is brought back to us. And then we know that in everything, Havan, Homam, everything, Agni is the devata. Agni as a devata is rules over Kritika nakshatra that right? I just want to use it as an example. Sorry, apologies. So Kritika nakshatram is is presided over by Agni. Now, Kritika nakshatram, people that are born with Kritika nakshatram right now is supposed to be Agni nakshatram. It's going on in India also, but even here it's starting to show where the heat, right? The heat is increasing in our times. So Kritika, anybody that's born under Kritika Nakshatram will have the effect of Agni. And the Devatas always make sure that we have a certain characteristics based on the Nakshatram that we are born with. Kritika, we have fiery nature. All that is driven, of course, on how you behave based on the Devata. So Devatas are the ones that help you live and do your karma to the end of your life. They are there for all the good things. So hence, we take Nakshatram as the primary means to identify the day that you were born. The month that you were born, the day that you were born is predominantly guided by the Nakshatram, because your characteristics, how you are going to behave, your Jatakam, for example, if you want to try to look at astrology, right, all of those characteristics of who you are and how you will behave, what you will do, is guided by a lot by the nakshatram that you are born under. If you're born under Maka Nakshatram, for example, you will be very grateful to your forefathers. It is in the nature. You will see many people. If you are in Maka Nakshatram, you will absolutely somehow or the other, you will probably do karyams in a way that pleases your ancestors. So there are characteristics like that that go on. So that's why Nakshatram is used predominantly, for birth. On the other hand, Titi, right? I want to cover a little bit about Titi. So we also said that among the devatas, there are 33 crore devatas, right? The devatas are the ones that formulate everything, right? From the creation, the water, the light, the energy source, wind, all of those are classifications of devatas. And among the devatas, the classifications are Adityas, Rudras, and Ashtavasus. Okay, there are the three major categories of there are 8 Ashtavasus. Ashtavasus are 18 number. Ekadash Rudras, you might have heard of Ekadash Rudras. There are 11 in number, and there are 12 Adityas. Adityas are the energy sources, the light of life. And there are 2 more that many people will say Ashwini Kumaras. So if you add up all these 8 plus 12 plus 11, and plus the 2, they become 33. So that is what forms the 33 crore devatas for us. Now, among them, Ashtavasus, right? They're Ashtavasus are the ones that are there in you. They're in everybody, right? Vasu is something that pervades. It pervades everybody. The sun and the moon actually are Ashtavasus. They are classified as planets, but then the form of giving source of light, being the satellite to many planets to maintain the balance, they are actually Ashtavasus. They are there in many different galaxies. So our forefathers envisioned or know about it, saying that sun and the moon are Ashtavasus. They are not really Adityas or whatever. So of course there are Ekadashudras and stuff. But moon is an Ashtavasu. It is the nearest Ashtavasu that is as a planetary body that's guiding us, right? We have told that Ashtavasu guides over water. He also is in our mind. He controls the mind on how we do things. Now, when we do Pitrukaryams, for example, when you have your departed souls, right? Most likely what you do is you will be asked to remember your father, your grandfather, and your great grandfather. There are three number. Now, when you do Pitru Karyams, you need to propitiate all these three. Now, those three people are not the ones that are receiving all the things that you're offering. It is actually the Ashtavasus, okay, the Rudras, and the Adityas. Your closest father, your if he's not alive, right, he is represented by the Ashtavasu in moon. Moon is the closest Ashtavasu. Now, the Rudras, Ekadasha Rudras, will be your grandfather, and your great grandfather is going to be the Aditya. So these three Devata classes are the ones that come and receive your offerings. When you do a yearly ceremony or anything that you may do, these three classes, that's why when they do it, also they ask you to remember your father, your grandfather, your great grandfather. That's the reason why we have these three classifications. Um, Now, because the Ashtavasu that's closest to us is the moon's revolution and the rotation of the earth is so important. His position where he is, the titi of the paksha, right, is important because he is the closest Ashtavasu representing your departed father. Uh, Hence, titi is what you remember when your parents or your forefathers pass away. The day that you remember is because of the moon's movement. The moon's movement plays an important role in helping remember, because these three classes, right? Again, the ones that I mentioned, uh, the Ashtavasus, the Ekadasha Rudras, Adityas, they're all important not only for our life here, right? When the soul transmigrates, when the soul leaves this body, these are the same classes of devatas that are going to help transmigrate the soul into a different body. Either it's outside this galaxy or within the same planet here on the earth. These are the same people that do it. Hence, we remember the tithis. The tithi is important based on if it's so today maybe Panchami, tomorrow is Panchami, today is Chaturthi. So if somebody passes away, you remember that because the moon is the closest body and we pay respect to it. And even in the moon's movement, the Krishna Paksha is supposed to be for Pitrus, and the Shukla Paksha is supposed to be for Devatas. So when you do good karyams, when you try to do good things like Shubha karyams, when you want to do it, the priest will most often or likely choose a date that's in the Shukla Paksha, in the growing part of the moon. In the waning part of the moon, when you do Mahalaya Paksham, for example, right, all of that will come only in Krishna Paksha. So Krishna Paksham is where you do all the Pitru Karyams, where Shubha Karyams are done in Shukla Paksha. So the moon plays an important role for us again in determining the Pitrus for us. Again, when you do all your ceremonies and stuff like that, you invoke three people again, right? The three is in the form of your parent, your grandparent, and a great grandparent, represented by Ashtavasus, Ekadasharudras, and Adityas. There are two other classes, right? One is the Vishwe Devatas, and then the Vishnu Devata. So there are three again when you do a full ceremony. But I just want to mention the reason that the Tithi is important for ceremonies, for remembering your departed souls, is the Tithi is because of the moon's movement. The moon is the closest, planetary body, and also the Ashtavasu. For us, that helps in the transmigration of the soul, and hence we remember him. Again, it's his movement is the moon's movement with the nakshatras that determine when we are born too, because the effect of our birth is based on the devatas, rishis, and the pitrus, for good things in our life. So everybody is supposed to be remembering Deva, Pitru, Rishi throughout their life. Anything that we do is for all these three classes of people. Propitiating all these three classes of people will always get us huge benefits in trying to make our lives be very, very successful, keep our lives humming. because that's what Perumal needs, because these are the people that help him put the world order in together. And when you look at the other part of the equation, the Pitrus and the Vishwe Devatas and the Vishnu come again, they complete the circle. So in this Jagat Chakram, all these classes of Devatas play a very, very important role. And I just wanted to kind of help explain this part to everybody. Thanks for listening. Jai Shriman Narayana. That's all I had today. So sorry.
Thank you very much, Ram. It's very, very informative and educative. Thank you again. With this, we will end today's satsang. Thank you.